Hello all and welcome in here to Tier 2 WHF. We're here in round 9 for as we head to Baku in Azerbaijan for what is to be another exciting championship battle here. Currently championship leader Ty Clear and TJ battling over P1. However, Stephen Beecham, who just lost the championship lead last time out, unfortunately for Stephen, missing today and could be missing a bit of points as well, as with Crimson off at turn 2. Love to see the great start from the lads. But we'll head on up if I can get back on. But anywho, we have Zampa, who's the first on a lap here, already completed turn 1 through turn 2, locking a lot of the braking, as there's a car behind him that hasn't loaded in. That was weird. That looked like an old Lotus in behind Zampa, but on a flyer now through the middle sector. Seen a couple drivers leave the track in real life at turn 4 today. Zampa able to navigate it well. And can Zampa get another pole position this season in the Williams? A bit of a lock into the castle section. Had to really ease off in order to make sure he didn't hit any of the walls and keep his front wing intact. Zampa more worried about just getting a banker lap time set on the board. Doesn't want to stress this William too much. You really want to just put a banker on the board, and then as time progresses you maybe take a bit more risks in the qualifying session, but at least you know you have a time to use. And here we are along with Zampa. Flying out of the final corner, and flat to the floor is the throttle. And Zampa now charging all the way now. DRS open to the line. What lap times is Zampa setting? And Zampa will set a 41.23. We've also got Lime out there on a charge the line behind a Red Bull of SNZ starting a lap. But Lime, who won last time out in Japan, sets the time of a 40.5. That is the benchmark for the drivers to beat now. Current championship leader Ty Clear will be one of the next drivers to cross the line, as TJ just a 10th off Lime. TJ currently P2 in the championship and really not that far behind Lime, as Ty Clear now on the charge the line. Where can Ty go in the Ferrari? His teammate missing today, but Ty Clear in the P6. That is not the time that Ty needs. Needs around a second and a half to catch the line there. Who else do we have out there? Ollie Bean, who has been recently improving, putting in a lot of work to improve. Meanwhile, we also seen Scones up to P5 with a 41.4. Meanwhile, D Summers just a 10th ahead of him in P4, but Ollie Bean crossing the line now up to P2. Sensational opening lap there from Ollie Bean, a 40.6, getting ahead of TJ. That is no easy feat, and Ollie Bean, who has only moved to wheel on this game, has been improving massively. Ellis with a 40.7. This is sensational stuff. The brothers of Ollie Bean and Ellis have found mega pace here in Baku. Currently sandwiched between a lot of the championship protagonists here. Lime, TJ, Ty Clear, Stephen Beecham and Crimson all vying for the championship inside the top 5, and Ollie Bean and Ellis find themselves wedged in between them as SNZ joins the top 5 as well. But Ty Clear already pushing. I believe he may have been doing an extra outlap, a second to the good as Ty. That would put him ahead of Crimson. But Ty wants even more out of this lap if he can. Needs an extra half a second if it's available to try and challenge Lime and Ollie Bean. And TJ as well. TJ, his main competitor in this one. And Ty now up to the race, or up to the line. And Ty up to P5, gets ahead of SNZ. And Tau now into P5. As Scones now on just an in-lap, I believe. Who else is out there on a flyer? Gunner on a flyer through the middle sector. And Gunner, unfortunately, has had so many unfortunate incidents throughout the season. Hopefully, this can be the race where he avoids all of the incidents and keeps his nose clean. But at Baku, that is a tough race to do it. The walls are very close, and as you've seen in real-life qualifying today, a lot of people have been getting it wrong. But Gunner now in the Cyber up to the line. Where can he put this Cyber? As he crosses the line, and it'll be a 41.5 just behind Scones. Northie and Valrates, we've got a couple drivers out there, not really anyone pushing. TJ, 2 tenths to the good, it said, for the Alpine. Can TJ improve here and snatch pole away from line? Ollie Bean up there, challenging as well. I did mention Ollie Bean and Ledgeman saying that they may be challenging for pole at the start of this, or before the race started. And I believed it was in JS, but actually, they're really not far off here. Meanwhile, TJ to the line. Crosses the line. It's a 40.0. 5 tenths quicker than line. Brilliant lap there from TJ. And can anyone get into the 39s is the next question. A lot of drivers improving rapidly there. Who do we have on a lap? Oh, I've heard... Oh, my controller disconnected. That was weird. Don't know why that was. Anyway, Lanky on a lap in the Mercedes, but I believe he's backed out. RJ on what I believe is his debut, or maybe he's made one more. He's made one appearance before this race, but has to avoid the I'm stupid corner, which thankfully Leclerc was able to do today, but didn't avoid turn 15, which hopefully RJ is able to do. Now we also have Ledgeman up to the line, but he's just on an in lap, so RJ will be a good car to follow. He will be one of the next drivers to cross the line on their laps. RJ, I believe, a friend of Scones and D. Somers. And RJ on what I believe is either his first or second appearance here in WHF. Where can he put this Ferrari? It is going to be P14 for RJ. Lanky on a slow in lap. We've got Factory on a lap. Page charging to the line. Currently LTJ. The family is doing very well in this qualifying session as Page just setting another 44.6. Factory on his first attempt, brushing the wall. As we've seen Dub Z, I think, exiting. Oh, what was this here? Andrew getting blocked by the Ferrari. And is that tie clear? That is tie clear. Not quite sure what's happening with all these cars. A lot of traffic exiting the box now. Very, very surprising. I don't know what's going on here, but a lot of traffic. Anyway, Factory in P20. Yet to set a lap here along with Andrew and Dub Z. But Factory, where can he go as he makes the charge to the line? And Factory up to P9. Brilliant lap there from the Haas. As Andrew starting a lap in behind. Although Andrew got blocked on that previous lap. So we'll see. Does that see the stewards? As did see someone swap. I think that was Zampa improving to P4. Lime on an in-lap, not improving. Ollie Bean doesn't seem to be improving out there. As Crimson. We did see Sci-Fi Mega Hype up to P3. What a brilliant lap from Sci-Fi Mega Hype. And we're seeing a lot of drivers who you'd normally not see up at the top pulling lap times out of the bag in Baku. This is very reminiscent of what happened qualifying today, where we were just seeing a tremendous amount of drivers like Sainz and Lawson where you would not expect them to be. As I've resubscribed. But what have we missed here? Ty on a push lap. Is that? I doubt he's already a second up through sector 1. I doubt that is what it's telling us. But Ty is on a push lap. Who else do we have on a notable push lap? I believe Scones improved to P8 there on his most recent lap. But where can Ty go? Current championship leader down in P8, his championship rival of Stephen Beecham and his teammate who's been closest throughout the season. Not here today, although TJ, who is his actual closest rival following the most recent race where TJ now is just 2 or 3 points shy of Ty clear, as Ty now needs a good result, otherwise TJ, who at the start of the season didn't seem like the championship was on for him, but as time has progressed, TJ has improved more and more, and TJ could be thinking that a potential championship win is on the horizon. And Ty Clear crosses the line with no improvement. Who else do we have out there? Crimson on lap dubs. He's retired in the pits. Hasn't set a lap. He's going for Driver of the Day trophy yet again. Raheem now, almost a second to the good. That would pip him almost close to his teammate Gunner if Raheem can improve. Another one of the friends of Scones and D. Sommers, I believe. As Raheem now charging to the line. And can he get ahead of RJ and Gunner? We will see. And Raheem now up to the line. Where can he jump? Does jump ahead of RJ, but can't pip his teammate Gunner just yet. Meanwhile, Thackeray charging to down the main straight. As yellow flag out for the Ferrari swapping. Thackeray half a second to the good. Where can Thackeray go? A lot of drivers in the 40s. And Thackeray joins them and gets ahead of SNZ into P10. But a very close field here. If you're not counting TJ. DJ already seems to have gapped the rest of the pack, as yellow flag out for the cyber letting through Scones, but Line, the next closest competitor for pole position here. And can Lime improve on this run around? As on a flyer heading through the castle section. TJ currently leads by half a second in the battle for pole. Can Lime do anything to catch him here? As we exit sector 2, 3 tenths to the good as Lime. He needs a monster exit here. If he does want to get ahead of TJ. And Lime now up to the line. Where can the Aston Martin driver go? This will probably be his final attempt. And he's just shy, a couple hundred shy of TJ. And TJ doesn't even need to really push. Unless someone else can sneak their way into the 39s. Lime seemed to be TJ's closest competitor here. And unable to settle up. Meanwhile, Andrew yet to settle up in this session. 2 minutes remaining. So a chance for drivers now to set their final run. But they need to be all exiting the box now if they're not already. The likes of Ty Clear doesn't appear to be exiting the box. So Ty at risk here from not getting a final run in, and I don't believe he will now. He's just stuck in the box. As Andrew now up to the line. Where can the Red Bull go? As up to the line and into P15 goes Andrew. But who else of note is on a lap? Scones doesn't seem to be improving. And Ty clears out of the session. Ty Clear crashes at turn 2. And the championship leader is out of qualifying. In shock and horror, championship leader of Ty Clear out here early on. We were not expecting that at all. But Ty Clear did not get his final run started. And hit the wall at turn 2. Meanwhile, we've got a couple drivers on laps now. I believe TJ may be the one to watch. Can he get into the 39s? As he is already almost 2/10 to the good. TJ may have a lap for the ages here as we head round the street circuits of Baku. But he may come up against traffic of his teammate as he goes a little deep down into turn 7. Through the castle section, his teammate's right there of LTJ Page. But does Page know to get out of the way of TJ? We will see. But Page may be on a lap of her own as well, as she crunches the wall ahead of TJ, which is exactly what TJ needed. But he's lost time now. Only 200ths to the good is TJ. And TJ now charging down the main straight. Where can the Alpine go? Lime will not be improving on his time. But Ollie Bean up to P4. Brilliant lap time there from the Mercedes. As TJ does go quicker by a 10th into the 39s. 0.927. Can anyone pip him there? We will see. As Zampa invalid will not be improving. Who else out there is on a lap? Gunner, a 10th to the good. Can he get ahead of D Summers as he charges to the line? And Gunner into P12 with a 40.9. Who else is out there? Factory not improving. Ellis on a lap, but is it one of the Red Bulls next? SNZ, 3/10 to the good. Could be challenging for inside the top 3 if this is a mega lap from the Red Bull. Gets a bit of a tow from his teammate Andrew for this evening, and SNZ now up to the line, up to P4, and it's equal time with Crimson, as Crimson is a 10th to the good. Can he gain any time as he comes up to the straight? Will Crimson catch Lime, or TJ gets a 40.2, but that's not enough. Who else is out there? Sci-Fi Mega invalid. We've got Ellis on a lap currently. P8! What was that? Interesting. Anywho, that was a jump scare. And following that jump scare, LTJ Ellis may find himself with a quali ban, but here ho. Anyway, as we head on through, TJ will start the race in Baku from pole. His championship rival, Ty Clear, all the way down in P9, and this is exactly what TJ needs. TJ could pull a big gap in the championship if he gets a good result here. Thank you for the 5 bits, Zampa, as the likely one puts in a yippee sound alert. Lime, also one of the drivers challenging for a potential championship here, along with Crimson. But there is a big gap between Crimson and Ty Clear. A lot of drivers in the mix who are unable to win the championship at this point. Ty Clear is going to have a serious drive. But that is an interesting one. As for some reason, it is just taking forever. But there you have it, the Alpine of TJ will start from pole. Can this be the race for TJ where he really puts a hand on the title here in Tier 2? We're here in round 9. Following this race, there'll be 3 rounds to go. And TJ could put a hand on the title here in Baku if he can keep his nose clean and score as much points on his rival Ty Clear as possible here. Noble mentions SNZ, Ollie Bean, Sci-Fi Mega Hype, all having great qualifyings here, along with Ellis as well. Zamp in the chat says disaster, but at the same time, always opportunities in the race. I'll tell the drivers when they're ready up. Hopefully no one ready's up early. And that would be ideal if no one ready's up early, because we want no lobby restarts, because there probably will be safety cars galore, which will count as restarts, essentially. But, yeah, interesting qualifying. Ollie Bean in the chat says, you lot do, in front of me, do me a favour and bin it. Ollie Bean needs a dub, and you know what? An Ollie Bean dub would feed generations, I think. Very intriguing race, a lot still to play out. And this is a great race for Crimson as well. Crimson, who's around 11 or so points off touch and distance from the championship. If Crimson can get a podium here, he'll close to the likes of TJ, Stephen Beecham and Ty Clear. So Crimson, if he gets a strong race here, it could do wonders for his championship fight. But the driver who's in pole position and could take a big advantage following qualifying here in Baku is TJ. Currently P2 in the championship, and a win here could give him the championship lead, and a strong lead at that. But the drivers should be readying up in a couple of minutes. Now is your opportunity to get a drink and some refreshments and beverages before we do 26 laps around the Baku circuit. Normally a one stop, a medium hard, although with the tyre wear in this game I never know what is the correct strategy. There are some tracks where the 2-step is more viable, but do I know which ones they are? Absolutely not. I don't play this game enough to know that. But as we wait, get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think is going to win this one? Will it be TJ, Lime, Crimson, or someone else? But this is going to be intriguing. Ty Clear, who is the championship leader down in P9, has got to somehow navigate all the traffic to try and limit the damage done by qualifying here. Meanwhile, P3 in the championship, Stephen Beecham missing out today, so a lot of drivers will be missing out in points today. But you never know, a lot of dramatic things could happen. And we will have the drivers readying up shortly now, so we will get ready for the 5 red lights here in Tier 2 Baku, as the 5 red lights come on here in Baku. And they're out as TJ leads us away down into turn 1. TJ gets a great start. Lime on the inside though. Contact with TJ as they're ghosting and hopping over each other as there's a cyber around in the background. TJ gets through to the 3 wide. Oh no, that is Zampa done. Yep, Zampa's around. And you just knew that was going to happen. You absolutely knew that was going to happen. Scones in the Aston Martin around and down to the back. Ollie Bean's lost loads of positions down to P8. And it is a VSC already on lap 1. Oh, and that is Ty Clear into the wall. And with it, Ollie Bean as well. And Ollie Bean gets a penalty for good measure as well. That is not ideal. Ty Clear, the championship leader, into the wall. Damage and a penalty. Ty Clear will have to fix that front wing, surely. Only driver to start on the softs, and Ty Clear will have to drop down to the back, and that is massive for the championship. TJ might pull a massive gap here. The only driver to start on the hard tyres. As Grelis in the chat, thank you for the follow, Grelis. Although Grelis saying he hopes D. Summers crashes, so already bringing the negativity is Grelis. But when does the safety car restart, or VSC restart, drop? We will see. Who all has damage, though? It seems like Ty Clare and Ollie Bean both have damage. Ollie Bean no front wing at all. As also we see Fackery with damage. D. Summers I don't believe is damage. Andrew. We see Northey. Or that may have been Page with damage. There's green flag racing we go. Ollie Bean loses out to Gunner. As Lanky going to try and get through on Ollie Bean. Has to lift off a little bit. As RJ in the wall. Big crunch in the wall. And RJ may have to come in for a new front wing as well. Many drivers into the box on lap 1. And this just shows you how important it is to keep your nose clean on lap 1. As Andrew now on the outside of D. Summers into turn 1. Can he find a way through? D. Summers keeps the place. As TJ actually loses out to Lime off that restart. Crimson on the rear of TJ as well. Alice trying to battle with Sci-Fi Mega Hype. Down into turn 3. Side by side they go. Can they keep it clean? And Ledgeman gonna get through into P5, which is a career high for Ledgeman currently. Oh, it's a clip of the rear from Sci-Fi Mega Hype. And that's certainly not going to help as Crimson all over the rear of TJ off the start here. SNZ has built a gap to Ellis here. Sci-Fi Mega Hype gets rear-ended by Gunner. So much contact off the start. And Lanky trying to find a way through. But Gunner now with damage along with D. Summers as well. So many drivers struggling with damage. And this just shows you need to keep your nose clean. Otherwise, you can drop down the order very quickly. As another brush to the wall, I believe, may have been from Gunner. More damage potentially on the front of that Sauber. As if you keep calm, like the likes of Lanky one, he's made so many positions off the start already. And just needs to avoid the walls and you'll surely gain positions. Lanky on the hards, SNZ on the hards. And these hard tyres may help them because as long as they stay calm and avoid contact with the walls, then they may be able to hold on to. As Crimson now on the outside of TJ. TJ defensive into turn 1. Crimson looking for a back through again. Meanwhile, Gunner and Sci-Fi Mega Hype swap down into turn 1. And Gunner gets ahead now, heading on the rear of Ledgeman. Although Ledgeman appears to have no damage on his front wing. So Ledgeman having a career best of P5 currently. As Crimson still closing on TJ. As Lime leads the train of TJ in behind and Crimson as well here. Meanwhile, Sci-Fi Mega Hype trying to catch Gunner. Gunner dropping back a bit because of the damage. As Sci-Fi jinking and jiving his way through the castle section. Lanky trying to work an opportunity to get past the V-Corp. Meanwhile, down in P18, Ollie Bean, who had such a great qualifying, had a nightmare start to the race and is now trying to get past LTJ Northey. Meanwhile, TJ back on the rear of Lime. And how long can Lime hold on to the position, we will see. As TJ down into turn 1. All over the rear of the Aston. Crimson playing a cam in behind Lanky, getting ahead of Sci-Fi Mega Hype down into turn 1. Still Sci-Fi Mega Hype is there, but washes out wide, opens the door to D. Summers on the outside. Side by side they go down into turn 2. And D. Summers gets around the outside of Sci-Fi Mega Hype. as Andrew also following this position. If he can find a way through Sci-Fi, making a couple errors there in quick succession. As TJ trying to stay with Lime, Crimson holding on to this train. And intriguing start of the race. The top three ideal with their starts. They just wanted to pull a gap as early as possible. But Crimson out of this top three seems to be the driver struggling the most. As the yellow flag is out, and it might be Northie. Northie's gone deep. And a lovely reverse, and oh my lord, Page is out! Page is out, and it's a safety car. That was a hilarious camera angle. Page crashes at turn 2. Right in front of Northie. I'm sure Northie, his seat has turned brown. That is a hilarious place to crash. But what has this done for the race, we will see. Archie, don't do that! Oh, why did he stand on the inside of the safety car? That's a risky place to be going for an overtake on the safety car. The safety car is liable to just turn in as if you were not there. But an early safety car here on lap 4. Do we see drivers into the box this early? We may see some early pit stoppers. I think the likes of D. Summers should definitely go in and fix the front wing. We may see D. Summers in SNZ in off the hards. That's a bit of a surprise. D. Summers is going to come in. Sci-Fi Mega following him in as well. Has damage, I believe, as well. Andrew as well coming in. Zampa and Scones. All smart moves, I believe. The safety car, they will lose less time by serving their pit stops under the safety car conditions. And the likes, the top 6 have all stayed out. But Zampa held by his teammate. And potentially a penalty to deserve it. It seemed like he was in there very long. As Dubsy and Factory come in off their softs, which I believe is the right move. Now the hards could technically go to the end, and that would benefit Scones most of all. Does Scones have it in him to go to the end here? Ty Clear having to fix his front wing and has to go to another set of fresh mediums. And Ty will most likely need a box again. So Ty, championship leader here, having a race to forget already, and we're only 5 laps in. The safety car will help him here, but he's got an even greater task than he had already heading into qualifying. But following the pit stops, Scones was able to take hards 33 laps in Zandvoort. Can Scones take these hards to the end? 21 laps in Baku doesn't sound as long as 33 laps in Zandvoort. Can Scones manage these hards to the end? Could be a potential win or a podium on the horizon for Scones. Meanwhile, Lime, TJ, Crimson, Ellis, Gunner and Lanky all yet to box in this race. I think it's the crack move from TJ and Lanky. They definitely couldn't really swap any tyres to go to the end of the race, so it's possibly better that they stayed out and box later for mediums around lap 16 or so. Meanwhile, a risk from a couple of the medium runners staying out. We'll see how it plays out. Does Scones have an advantage on them? This could be very interesting. There could be another safety car in around 4 laps time that would be perfect for the medium runners. We'll have to see. Another safety car following this one would be perfect. However, they may lose a lot of track position following it, so we'll have to see how everything plays out. Meanwhile, Dubsy is back into the pit lane. Not quite sure, and back out again. Did Dub go back onto hards? I believe he did. Meanwhile, a couple drivers there out with penalties. I think they're... or Northie with a 10-second. Northie going to come in to serve the 10-second. That's a smart move. And even fix some damage on the front of that V-carb. Smart move from the V-carb. And Raheem, unfortunately, with a drive-through after speeding under the VSC, I assume. So Raheem going to have to serve that drive-through. Meanwhile, Northey is getting his 10 seconds removed, as well as his front wing, going onto another set of mediums. Mediums will not go to the end here, but it is an opportunity for Northey to get caught up to the pack again. Mediums could conceivably go to the end, but I don't know how. Maybe on on the last game, maybe, but on this game, the tyre wear, so I doubt it. I really doubt it. But the hard runners of Scones, who is going to want the safety car to stay out as long as possible, and Northey being so far behind may help ensure that, because Scones wants this to be the one and only safety car to help Scones potentially win the race, along with D. Somers, Sci-Fi Mega Hype, Andrew Zampa and Fackery as well, all on the hards to the end here potentially. SNZ on mediums, I don't think he'll be able to extend those to the end. Meanwhile, everyone else inside the top 6 definitely has to box in, as they've not completed their mandatory pit stops. But intriguing strategies at play here. But if you were Scones, you would definitely be quite happy. Scones had a horrible start to the race. At turn 2, Scones was last. And now, following his spin, now back up in P8, and actually not in a bad position. A net P2 behind SNZ UAE. But SNZ UAE may need a box again. And Zampa! What has happened, Zampa? Dropping down positions, as I'm not sure what's happened, Zampa. And he was another one of the drivers who had benefited from the safety car, but now down to P15. What happened to Williams? I am not quite sure. Did he have a spin after contact with another driver? I don't know. Meanwhile, Northey has somehow got another 10-second penalty. I don't know how Northey's doing it. That is weird. As Raheem, frustrated now, Raheem will have to serve this drive-through. And that will drop him a large gap behind the pack. But we still need Northey to catch, so all this extending is really helping Scones, D. Somers, Sci-Fi, Andrew, Fackery, Zampa, Dub Z to make it on the hards to the end. They need this to go as long as possible, but it's gone green flag, so the safety car will be in this lap. Northey's still a good distance behind, as Lime is going to try and get us restarted here. We'll follow TJ on board, who's almost... Lime almost... braking, as there's a couple swaps in the back, not quite sure what's happening. As Lime now trying to warm the tyres. TJ trying to catch the jump whenever Lime does decide to go. As we still see a couple swappers in the background. Damage for someone in the background, as Lime now may go, and he has. TJ now going to charge after him. And damage under the safety car for someone, not quite sure who it is. It's Gunner now on the inside of Ledgeman down into turn 1. Gunner gonna send it on Ledgeman, and Gunner gets through into P4, but damage for Gunner. I wonder, did he pick up that damage under the safety car? We'll have to find out, as TJ heading after Lime. Crimson involved here as well, as cars heading throughout turn 2. As Dubsy and Raheem, little brush together. Ty Clear also involved, but did Ty pick up more damage? I think he just about avoided it. As Ellis is down and out. Ellis has gone too deep at turn 3. And Ellis, who was having such a good race up until this point, drops down the orders. SNZ getting ahead of Lanky as they go side by side through the middle sector, just about getting through, and SNZ through on up to P5. Brilliant move there. Scones now on the rear of Lanky. As into the wall goes SNZ. Did he pick up some damage? Not quite sure. Sci-Fi battling with D. Somers. As Sci-Fi goes deep, so does D. Somers. D. Somers loses a wing. goes far too deep at the castle. And so many drivers here hitting the wall here in Baku. As Scones getting ahead of the Lanky. Brilliant move there from Scones, but now he's 2.6 and Lanky into the wall. So many drivers just, they're washing out wide at every opportunity. And so many drivers with damage here. No one able to keep their nose clean at all, it seems. As RG making his way up. Ty Clear now on the inside of PLG Raheem, who I believe still may need to serve that drive through. As Crimson now is lost. Touching distance to TJ in line. Crimson now 3 seconds back from his competitors. As Andrew swapping with D Summers. And D Summers, does he have damage? Crimson into the box now. Crimson boxing. Surprising. D Summers is in to fix his front wing. As SNZ now on the rear of Gunner. Gunner still carrying some damage, so SNZ going to want to get ahead as early as possible. And the driver from the United Arab Emirates now on the outside of Gunner. Can he send him deep? Zampa's retired in the pit lane as SNZ around the outside of Gunner. Can he get a lovely move? It is a lovely move from SNZ as Ollie Bean's left the session. What has happened to Ollie Bean? I believe he may have lagged out. We'll try and get Ollie Bean back in again here. If we can. But not quite sure what's happened with Ollie Bean there, but Zampa has retired in the pit lane. Another day to forget for the Williams driver. Meanwhile, TJ following along Lime. Lime trying to drop him out of DRS. As Ollie Bean back in the lobby and Gunner goes deep, hits the wall again. Scones following him through. A reminder, Scones is actually, I would say, a net P1 because he may be able to go on these hard staying, but Scones with damage. Front right end plate gone as the Lanky picks up damage or a time penalty. And Andrew actually may be in a great position here. P8, no damage. As TJ now on the outside of line, contact between the Aston Martin and the Alpine. TJ now back on the rear of the Aston Martin as he charges down to turn 3, but not close enough as Sci-Fi Maghype going to get contact with Andrew. Fakri also involved here as well. Can Andrew find a way through on Sci-Fi Maghype on the outside? Side by side they go down into turn 3. Contact between Andrew and Sci-Fi Maghype. Sci-Fi Maghype not giving up the ghost just yet despite his damage. And Andrew possibly frustrated him behind the V-carb there. But Andrew just needs to keep his nose clean. And Andrew may end up being an FP1 because he's the only driver out there without damage. Scones, who's in a great position here, does have damage, though a bit of a mistake that may cost him in this one. Couple drivers are out on the hards, but with the damage or penalties here as we head through the castle. Yellow flag out and around, and it's Raheem exiting turn 2. Missed his corner. Meanwhile, TJ back on the rear of Lime. On the previous lap, we may have seen them come to blows, but on this lap, will anything change? As TJ now trying to catch Lime. And with DRS engaged on the rear of the Aston Martin, can he find a way through? As TJ going to go to the inside. Risky place to be going for a move, but TJ now can he outbrake the Aston Martin down into turn 1, side by side they go. So close as the racing. Lime leaves him the room on the inside, but Lime with a lovely defensive move to keep ahead of TJ, and TJ has to filter in behind as we see Fakri swapping with Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi dropping back behind Dub Z as well. As Ty Clear goes a little deep in behind this battle. There's cars absolutely everywhere. Crimson getting through on Northy, Dub Z through on Fakri. As Fakri on the outside clunking the wall as they head through turn 2. Has some more contact with the wall we heard. Not quite sure who involved there. But Andrew still frustrated in behind Lanky. Cost him a lot of time. This is all in the end helping Scones a bunch. Scones does have damage, but if he can manage the hard to the end despite his damage, we did see something similar to this last year's race, I believe, from, it may have been Trosh or someone similar, I can't remember who won last time out in Baku, but they had either older tyres or damage, but were still able to manage it to the end, and Scones could be in a similar position here. If he can just manage these hards to the end, Scones could be in a great position, but goes wide again. That's not going to help his front wing at all. As a yellow flag out, Raheem into the box, I believe. And Raheem might be calling it a day, not quite sure. As TJ looking to catch Lime again. Ollie Bean retires. Just out on track. That's not great. As TJ does get ahead of Lime as Lime enters the pit lane for his hard stint. As Scones now still trying to catch SNZ UAE. As Andrew losing out to Lanky still. Andrew unable to find a way through. Can he finally get through Lanky if he gets a good exit out of turn 3? Lanky still out there with damage, struggling. And Andrew's got to surely dump the battery to get ahead of the Mercedes driver. Now on the outside is Andrew going to back out here. Doesn't want to go for anything too crazy. And Lanky parking his car and costing everyone behind a heap of time. Lanky's helping Scones in the race massively here. Probably more than he knows it. As Lime gets through on Ty Clear, one of the championship rivals. Ty has boxed already, but hasn't done his final pit stop. Meanwhile, Lime on these hards to the end. Gonna try and get through on Sci-Fi Megape. Sci-Fi Megape struggling though with damage. All this is holding up Lime massively as Ty Clear pushing Lime through the castle section. And Ty Clear wants to put Lime under pressure because he knows this is where the championship battle is. As Lime now on the inside makes himself known as he tries to send it through on Sci-Fi Megape. So almost contact Lime, almost into the wall. As Sci-Fi Megape trying to find a way back through again on the Aston Martin. But Lime may have done enough just to get ahead of Sci-Fi Megape as D Somers gets ahead of Northey as well here. And Northey into the wall, may have been some more damage as SNZ UAE in for hard tyres. Scones now inherits P2. TJ staying out to go into the mediums. Lanky finally into the box to do his final set in mediums. And Andrew now has 8 seconds to try and get caught to Scones. Scones has to manage that gap as best he can. Also, Scones got to make sure he stays out of the walls for the remainder of the race. And just hope TJ gets held up. And Lime as well whenever they eventually box. Lime has boxed, but he's got to somehow navigate his way through Factory, Dubsy and Andrew in order to try and get ahead and climb all the way up to Scones. But Scones doing beautifully out there. Despite the damage, Scones just needs to manage these hards to the end. Meanwhile, TJ needs to go probably 3 more laps before he boxes for medium tyres. In the end. As Dubsy now still trying to find a way through, and Andrew having one of his best races in WHF so far, currently P3. And could be on for his first podium here. Meanwhile, Dubsy, former Tier 2 champion back in the SSR days. Or may have been Tier 3 champion. I'll need to double check. That is Crimson. Battling with Sci-Fi and Sci-Fi. Big damage for Sci-Fi Mega Hype and a VSC. As Sci-Fi into the rear. Crimson, and Sci-Fi is just taken out. Crimson under the VSC. I do not believe what I've just seen. TJ's using this opportunity as Crimson's retired. Crimson crashed into the wall. I don't believe it. I do not Adam and Eve it. Scones is using this opportunity to box for mediums and get his front wing fixed. TJ on to fresh mediums now and is in the absolute driver's seat to win this race. Just needs to get ahead of Andrew and manage the mediums to the end, and TJ should have it. Scones now going to exit in P5, but this has been an absolute shocker. Crimson, I don't even know how he's crashed there. Absolute shocker. VSC out. And a lot of drivers going for mixed strategies. SNZ on the and getting a penalty exiting the pit lane. Oh, it's a drive-through, and SNZ on the soft tyres. He's on the wrong tyre as well. This is just horrible as we go green flag racing. As Sci-Fi losing it to Lanky. D. Summers gets ahead of SNZ UAE, who just letting through Ellis here. Was Lanky almost into the rear of SNZ. But as we resume from that VSC, we've got SNZ all over the rear of Ellis, trying to find a way through, and may get through down into turn 7. Side by side they go, and Ellis doesn't want to fight too hard against the driver, who already has a drive-through anyway. Meanwhile, TJ could be the favourite for the win now, but Lime has also joined the battle. Lime under that VSC is surprisingly caught massively now, and TJ has DRS on the inside of Andrew. And can TJ pull a gap to Lime before Lime dispatches the hard runners ahead of him? Dubsy and Andrew possibly looking to go to the end here. Meanwhile, Lime has got to navigate his way past these hard runners if he can. But they will have DRS, making this a very tricky job. But Dubsy actually going to pull to the inside and let through Lime. Dub doesn't want to worry about the leaders in the battle, as Lime now heading after the Red Bull as RJ out of the... Whoa! What was that? What was that? What have I just seen? RJ's... I think he entered the pit lane and it just teleported him back onto the racing line. And we just seen one of his tyres flying on the track, which has brought out another VSC, which possibly can help Andrew and Dubsy if they want it. Which, if I were them, I would take it, absolutely. Only lose around 10 or 15 seconds under the VSC. So, if I were them, I would box for mediums now, absolutely. But, last season we had 10 DNFs in Baku. This season, it is already at 6, and there's 11 laps to go. We could equal next, or last season's record, or even pip it. I did mention to some of the drivers as we've gone green flag racing, Andrew and Lime and TJ, does he got a drive through? No, it's a 3-second time penalty for TJ. That could be detrimental under the restart there. Cuts the inside. SNZ, Gunner and Sci-Fi all with drive-throughs here, as Lime now on the inside of Andrew. This is exactly what Lime needs until the end of the race. Lime on the inside of Andrew. Can he stick the move into turn 1? Lime on the Aston Martin. Can he get through on the inside? Andrew fighting it, but doesn't have the grip to battle with Lime. And Lime now 2.5 seconds to TJ. Now it's a battle. Can TJ pull a big enough gap to keep Lime a touching distance? Or could Lime get his 4th win of the season here in Baku? The hard tyres will perform better than the mediums towards the end of this race. But can TJ pull a gap early on here? We will see, as SNZ coming in to serve his drive-through. We've also got Gunner and Sci-Fi to serve drive-through penalties as well. But this has been one of the most chaotic races to remember. Scones out on the mediums, trying to catch the likes of Dubsy and Andrew. 10 seconds is the gap before Scones potentially getting onto the podium. Meanwhile, Dubsy with his 3-second time penalty. He's going to have to do something a miracle-esque to get ahead of Andrew and get a podium here. He's got to pull a gap. Got to get ahead of Andrew and pull a 3-second gap. And Andrew and Dub have been pretty level on pace throughout the race. So that may be a bit difficult in order for Dubsy to organise, but a podium for Dubsy would be absolutely generational, would feed families for generations. And there's nothing we would love more than Dubsy getting on the podium here today. But still, a lot could happen in this race. There's been so much chaos here, and only in lap 16 has it really settled down. We've just had a VSC restart, and it's been a bit calm for the last half a lap, as Dubsy now on the inside of Andrew, and Dub in the McLaren through into P3. But can Dub pull a gap to Andrew is the question. Andrew has been playing this perfectly so far, and could be on for his first podium in WHF. Andrew, recent addition to the Red Bull team, and could be a great addition, picking up their highest points finish of the season. But there's still so much that could happen in this race. Also got to keep an eye on Ty Clear, if he can even catch the podium places, but he's a good 20 seconds off it at this stage. Hopefully his mediums can work for him, but we will see as time progresses. Fackery in P5 also hoping for a good result here. Lime, as long as he can hold on to what the current gap is between him and TJ, Lime will have his 4th win of the season here. As time progresses, Lime's hard tyres will outperform TJ's, but TJ has some pace in his mediums currently, but TJ realistically needs to be pulling a bigger gap than he is currently. Lime still inside that 3-second time penalty threshold. And Lime, who a couple races ago you could say he was out of the title fight, but if he wins here after winning last time out in Japan, Lime could be right back in it, especially with how much points he would catch to take clear. If things end as is, TJ would definitely take the championship lead, but Lime closing the gap massively, and a good end of the season, and Lime could be your tier 2 champion. It's been a rocky road for Lime in the Aston Martin this season, but could still do it. TJ, though, a close competitor, as Andrew getting back through again on Dubsy, down into P3. And Andrew looking for a maiden podium for himself. Just got to keep his nose clean, as so many of the other drivers do, to the end of the race. We've seen so many drivers with damage, and you've noticed the drivers who have avoided the most amount of carnage have benefited the most here. Meanwhile, we've Gunnar and SNZ down the main straight. Gunnar trying to find a way through on the Red Bull, and Gunnar now around the outside, SNZ in off the soft tyres here, as Gunnar through into P11. Meanwhile, Lanky has joined the rear of D Summers. D Summers, though, always been a great defensive driver. This is going to be tough for Lanky to try and dispatch of and use his medium tyres to try and pull a gap. So he does have, as there's been a big crunch of the wall. Not quite sure who from. Not seeing a yellow flag out. We just heard the big bang. But doesn't seem that anyone really with visible damage here. Don't see anyone with damage. Maybe sci-fi? No, I don't believe so. Maybe just a little brush of the wall. But either way, lap 19 of 26, and TJ isn't pulling the gap he would like on Lime. Lime is right on the cusp of that TJ penalty, as it's a yellow flag out, as Northey seems to have had a spin, or potentially went deep. No, he's hit the wall at turn 5, or no, it was turn 4, and Northey struggling again here with damage on the front end plate of that V-carb. But Northey will, thankfully, keep in the race as Lanky gets through on D Summers down into turn 1. Oh, and Lanky into the wall! D Summers gets through, and Lanky with damage. And frustrating race for Lanky again here. Damage for Lanky. And as it looks, he just feels like there's no grip on the mediums, as we've seen today. in the real life F1, the grip was so low, so many drivers struggling with how low the grip felt. And again, Lanky here struggling so much. Meanwhile, Dub still battling with Andrew. Scones 6 seconds back now. Can Scones continue to catch and challenge for what would be his second podium of the season? As SNZ and Northie back into the pit lane. SNZ has been in the pit lane so many times now. And exits right behind Northie. But I wonder how many stops there has been. SNZ on his 4th pit stop. All the drivers who have won stopped, except for Ledgeman, unfortunately, have had a very successful race. Kind of proving that this is a one-stop. Only Ellis is the only driver out there who has really struggled. I believe did have earlier damage, which may have played a factor in that. Meanwhile, Lime, 2 seconds is the gap between him and TJ. Lime just needs to protect the tyres to the end. And Lime is just naturally coming back at TJ. His hards are outperforming TJ's mediums. And it could be back-to-back wins here for Lime as Northie exits on the soft tyres. As we hear another crunch to the barrier. Not quite sure who from. But there's been so many broken wings throughout the session. As Scones still trying to catch Dubsy and Andrew. Do those mediums have the pace he requires in them to get higher than a P5? I don't think it was a bad move, Scones boxing onto these mediums, because he did need to fix his front wing. However, has his times plateaued now? 6 lap on these mediums. Can he use the pace that he has in hand to catch Dub and the Red Bull of Andrew, who are battling over the podium here? Dub now all over the rear of Andrew, almost into the wall, has a little brush to the wall. Dub now trying to find his way through on Andrew as they charge down the straight. Dub possibly slightly annoyed with his time penalty, because that could potentially cost him a podium here in one of his greatest drives of the season. Another driver of the day performance for Dub Z. Meanwhile, Lime on the rear of TJ. Almost back inside DRS range is Lime. And just has to play it calm. And Lime should have the win in the bag. Meanwhile, Andrew still battling with Dub Z. Scones lost around 7/10. I wonder, did the DRS have any factor in that? Can Scones regain some time in the middle sector here? But seems to be struggling a little bit on these medium tyres on 7 laps on the mediums. Have they hit their cliff? And is Scones just going to struggle to the end here on these mediums? Don't seem to have the pace that they once had. And Andrew and Dub appear to be pulling an even bigger gap to Scones here. Scones losing the rear, maybe, possibly overdriving a little bit. Meanwhile, Lime now comfortably inside DRS range from TJ. Can Lime find a way through on the Alpine? As Dub Z, has he pulled a second to Andrew? This could be big for Dub if he can pull a 3-second gap to Andrew. Dub Z could have a podium, and Andrew makes a poor exit out of the final corner. And Andrew now could have lost DRS now to Dub. Meanwhile, Lime on the... Oh, he's bumped the rear of TJ. As he's now going to try and send it down into turn 2. TJ forcing him to the inside. As we get a horrible camera angle contact between TJ and Lime now. And Lime gets on through. And TJ with a big send. Lime leaving the space on the inside. But lovely racing there from Lime. Left the room and nothing more. That was such a risky move from TJ, but brilliant battling between the two. I think TJ now knows Lime has the pace in these hard tyres. He's just trying to force Lime into an error at this point. And Lime is not giving in. Meanwhile, Dub Z pulling a bigger gap to Andrew. Scones catching Andrew. What has happened to Andrew that he's lost so much pace? Does he have damage in the Red Bull? Doesn't seem like it. Just seems like he's lost touching distance to Dub Z now. And now seems to be losing ground, and Dub could be on for a podium after starting from the back. Meanwhile, TJ, has he lost DRS to Lime? Lime trying to pull a gap here, so composed. And trying to pull a gap. TJ desperately trying to use these hard tyres, or these medium tyres, to stay with Lime. Washes but wide! Into the wall goes TJ! TJ into the wall, and that's handed Lime the win, surely! TJ with damage as he exited the final corner, and he's lost DRS now. And surely TJ now is just going to coast it home until the end. But TJ may have lost the win here in Baku, and Lime could be looking at back-to-back wins here as he continues to climb towards the Tier 2 championship. But Lime still has a lot left to do in the rest of the season. But this could be a big momentum swing in the Aston Martin's favour. Meanwhile, TJ with damage, surely going to just manage his mediums to the end. And TJ could still have a P2 that will give him a strong championship lead over Ty Clear. As Andrew trying to recompose and stay with Dub Z inside that 3-second time penalty margin, as Scones still trying to catch here. 4 seconds back is he from Andrew. And with 4 laps to go in this race, can Scones catch Andrew by the end here and try and snatch a P4? Even a podium for Scones is on the cards if he has the pace at the end here. As the Aston Martin of Scones heads through the middle sector. Can he catch Andrew? Can Andrew stay with Dub Z here? Andrew's having his best race of the season by sure. Dub Z having one of his best drives in quite some years. And Dub will be a bit annoyed. He's just so far back from TJ, because TJ now with damage may struggle to the end, but Dub on much older tyres, the damage may equal out their pace essentially. As another crunch of the wall, was that D Summers? It might have been, but no damage for D Summers as he continues to pull a gap from Lanky, and Lanky now on these mediums with the damage. They may have just hit their cliff, and Lanky now may have lost DRS from D Summers. And D Summers should be able to coast it home for a P8. But a absolutely dramatic race here. As we continue on, Lime extending his margin, and Lime looking at his 4th win of the season. The driver with the most wins this season, looking to extend that gap. However, championships are not just won on wins. Lime would still be a bit down the order. I think he may jump Crimson and potentially even Stephen Beecham here with this result, which would be big for Lime in the championship. Meanwhile, Lanky back inside DRS range from D Summers, but realistically, can he do anything to try and get ahead? Has that 3-second time penalty that will play a factor at the end here. Scones continuing to catch Andrew, but can he catch him before the end? I don't know if he's catching him quick enough to get ahead of Andrew by the end, but Andrew and Dub Z close to puncture territory. That has to be playing in their minds. And Andrew possibly thinking, does he need to protect the tyres more than his position? As I think I did see Northy in the background maybe make a little error. But Scones now continuing to head after Andrew, trying to catch him with all his worth. But here on the penultimate lap, does Scones have enough in the tank? Does Andrew have enough in the tank to stay inside the 3-second penalty margin of Dub Z to pick up his first podium in WHF? 'Cause 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 Meanwhile, Lanky still trying to catch D. Somers here. Despite the odds being stacked against Lanky, still fighting for this P8. Trying to put pressure on the Williams of D. Somers as best he can. And Lanky now on the rear. DRS engaged, struggling for rear traction on these older mediums. And especially with his damage, it's really hampering his ability to get close, but is getting relatively close, but no cigar for Lanky. Meanwhile, Scones 2.1 behind Andrew. Andrew, 3 seconds now is the gap between him and Dub Z. It's so marginal. Can Dub get the podium, or will it be Andrew? Scones closing even more rapidly. Andrew seems to have had a mistake through the castle. It's allowed Dub Z to pull an even bigger gap now. Scones now almost piling on the pressure on Andrew. Scones has to catch this within 7/10 to get DRS, and then maybe on the final lap he may get an opportunity to get ahead of Andrew here. And Scones even has an outside chance at a podium if everything goes his way on the final lap here. Andrew desperately trying to stay with Dub Z inside that 3-second penalty threshold. Just under that 3 second now. Can Andrew stay with him? Scones dropping a bit back. Possibly not using as much battery as Andrew is. As Lime. It hasn't been an easy race at all for Lime. Starting from P2. Meanwhile, Lanky battling with D. Somers through turn 1. D. Somers still parking the car perfectly. Lanky and D. Somers, great defensive drivers, but when it comes to overtaking, a bit harder. Lanky unable to find a way through on D. Somers. And on the final lap here, Lanky having a little look on the inside of D. Somers, but D. Somers not spooked off the racing line. D. Somers is no scrub here. Scones still trying to head after Andrew. But Andrew, does he have too big of a gap? Dub Z pulling that 3 second margin that he needs. TJ could have had the win, but damage for the Alpine has cost him massively. And the man who has played it safely the most of this race, and after winning in Japan, will win in back-to-back races. The Aston Martin of Lime mounting a late title charge here in round 9, and Lime will win in Baku for the 4th time this season. Lime picks up a victory, and Lime now has an outside chance at the championship victory. Meanwhile, TJ finishes P2, which means he will take the championship lead here in Baku, followed by Dub Z, who started last, will finish on the podium. It's a last to P3. Andrew finishes just a 10th out of that 3 second margin. Scones into P5, followed by Ty Clear, who on these mediums almost lost out to Factory towards the end, but Ty Clear will finish P6, limiting the damage done by TJ's P2. Factory in P7, D. Somers finishes in the Lanky, Ellis in P10. As Gunner now trying to pull a gap to SNZ, but SNZ surely, well actually SNZ 23 seconds back, so Gunner should finish P11 and SNZ will finish P12 with those gaps. But we'll try and get some of the drivers in for driver interviews if we can. As Northey will be the final finisher today. A bit of a better record than last season. Last season there were a lot more DNFs, 10 DNFs to be precise. This race only 6, and in Baku we will take that. But there we have it. What a race. Lime wins ahead of TJ and Dubsy, who finished P3 after starting last. Driver of the day deservingly goes to Dubsy. But last to P3, what a drive it has been from Dub. TJ will pick up the fastest lap here, as we'll try and get the whole race director, but there may be a lot, considering it is Baku, a lot of warnings, but not as bad as some other tracks. But there you have it, Lime does win ahead of TJ Dubsy. Andrew with a season best P4 ahead of Scones, Tyclair Factory, D Summers, Lanky, Ellis, Gunner, SNZ, Sci-Fi, and Northy are your finishers today. But we'll start off the Tier 2 interviews with the man, the myth, the legend, Dubsy, last to P3. Dubsy, tell me how that race went.
I just don't know. I don't know. I got nothing. Honestly, I was sweating like Mike Tyson in a spelling bee that entire race. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how it worked. I'm over the moon excited, but that was intense, man.
You were battling with Andrew for the last stint of that race. How difficult was it to pull a gap to Andrew?
Ridiculous. Following him for 4 or 5 laps there, I was noticing where he was harvesting. So my plan was to not harvest, to take the medium, run it as long as I could. When he was harvesting, I was hoping I'd gain a little time on him. And I was running a 3-2 wing, so I figured I'd get enough on the straightaway to hopefully gain a little bit in the corners. And Dub was smart for once, and it paid off.
Well, congrats, Dub. An absolutely sensational drive. I know you love
Thanks,
to
bro.
never do quali, and you want the driver of the day trophy, which you always seem to end up getting. But not only the driver of the day trophy, but also a P3 after starting from last. An absolutely sensational drive.
Thanks, bro. How about that?
I'm speechless. That is one of the best drives we've seen in WHF. And it'll be difficult to replicate that. We'll move on to TJ, who was battling with Lime for the win, but we did see when it really came down to crunch time, TJ unfortunately clipped the wall. Damage for the Alpine. TJ, how'd your race go?
Yeah, not the worst. The mediums were definitely the worst tires. I should have done medium hard, but I picked up a penalty, the 3-second penalty, for some reason during the VSC, and I was like, okay, that's a bit weird because I didn't have any warnings. But then after that, I had the fastest lap. I was P2, and I was just ready to just coast it home, because the hards were just so much quicker than the mediums. But I was fine with just carrying it on for the last 10 laps and just getting P2.
And you did just that, and with that, you do take the championship lead. We did mention last race that you didn't feel like you were even expecting a championship at the start of the season, but with 3 rounds to go, do you believe you can do it?
Yeah, I think Silverstone is definitely my strongest track as well. Brazil, not so much, but Abu Dhabi I like as well. I'm quite strong there. Definitely the last 5 races have been all my stronger tracks. So hopefully I can just carry the momentum and keep going and just keep staying on the podium for the next 3 races. And who knows, maybe we win it.
Well, out of all of my predictions, I'll have to say, TJ, you weren't one of them at the start of the season, but wow, have you shined throughout the season, and with it, you now take the championship lead, which is funny to mention, the first non-Ferrari driver to lead the championship this season.
I know, I think Lime led it in the...
Oh yeah, in the opener.
Lime led, no?
Yeah, Lime led in
so,
the opener, but after the opener then it was Ferrari led for the...
Ferrari dominance, yeah.
But the Ferrari dominance is no longer. TJ does take the championship lead, but we did mention Lime there, and Lime now with back-to-back wins in Tier 2. Lime, how'd that race go for you?
Yeah, qualifying was alright. I could have gone faster. I made an error on my second flying lap. Did an Albon in what Albon did in P1, literally clipped the inside wall and just sent myself wide, so I had to restart again on some scrub tyres, but not too bad. Only a 10th off TJ in the end, so I'm happy with that with scrub tyres. Obviously, coming into the race, just all to play for. I just sent it down the inside, but TJ's car ghosted and just let him out front. And then obviously the VSC came out, and then I just sat behind a bit, overtook him on the straight as I had a lot less wings, and just sawed away for a bit. Safety car came out, played it ball then, sawed away a bit from then, and then my tyres fell off the face of the earth, and I was struggling absolutely everywhere, and TJ was all over me. And I was like, okay, time to pit. So I came in, got hards on, and just drove around for a bit, coming into contact with other sci-fi and Pie Clear having an absolute right of a scrap somewhere. And then just caught up to TJ, and just don't know whether his tyres fell off or he got damaged, or both. And I just overtook him and went. So yeah, really good. Yeah, that's all really. Oh, also like to say, fun fact, me and Dubsy used to race back in 2020, and I'm actually really happy for him, because when we used to race, we were back markers, and now I'm at the top. He's midfield.
Thanks, bro.
Well, he's not midfield anymore. We are now going to call him Podium Dubsy for the rest of the season, because that's what we expect of him.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Gunnar. Gunnar, how'd your race go this evening?
I don't really like Baku. It wasn't a great race. I had a good first few opening laps, to be fair. I think I was like P5, P6, but then after that I got damage. Kept on getting damage over and over again. Got a drive through somehow. I don't know how. And then yeah, just not a great race anyway. But next Silverstone, I think, is a bit more strong suited to me, so hopefully I can do a bit more.
Yeah, hopefully so. We have mentioned that you've been in the wars this entire season. It feels like Cyber in debt with all of the front wings that have been clipped off, and not a lot of it has been your fault either.
Today I'll just blame it on me, because it pretty much was me. I just didn't race at Baku, never practiced, and I hate Baku. So yeah, on to the next one, I guess.
Well, hopefully in Silverstone we can have a much better showing. But we'll move on to Ledgeman. Ledgeman, it seemed to be a great qualifying, and at parts in the race you were doing well, but it all went wrong. Where did it go wrong, Ledgeman?
I was running in like P4 or 5 coming out of that safety car, and I think it was Lanky, but I'm not too sure. He was just on the inside, and it was either hit him or go into the runoff, it felt like. So I just had to take to the runoff to avoid contact, and then obviously where we just came in a safety car, I fell down to last. In the end, being able to put it back to, I think it was a P10, that's decent enough. Still not what I was kind of hoping for, but hopefully I can keep on picking up little points like that over the season to get me in the top 10 of the championship.
Yeah, hopefully so. And I must say I was impressed by you and Ali Bean's performance in the in qualifying. Hopefully we see more of that as the season progresses.
Yeah, well, anyone that raced with me in Texas, lucky to hear that I will be on pad again. So I might accidentally murder everyone. I want to try and hang back this time.
Just so you know, there is a limit to how many penalty points you can get, so please don't.
If I do race Silverstone, I will definitely hang back and just wait for people to DNF to hopefully pick up some points that way.
But anyway, we look forward to it next week. Also, Sci-Fi Mega Hype, your best qualifying of the season. How'd that race go for you, Sci-Fi?
I followed through the best qualifier of my life with the worst race of my life, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think I did quite a bit of practice for this one. I actually, for some reason, I enjoy this track, so I kind of did a lot more practice than I usually do, because at least I had time this week, so I practiced quite a bit. But it's not easy racing around people, so quali and race isn't necessarily the same. A lot of silly mistakes from my side also, but I think I'll take the good quali. So I need to just work on getting the race pace, get quick in the race. That's what I need to work on. Yeah, but race to forget for me today.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate one, but you can take the positives of qualifying. Hopefully, when we come back for Silverstone, sure, you can have a much better race next time out. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, we have D Summers in here. D Summers, you're able to defend from Lanky 1 for a large majority of that race. D Summers, how'd that race go for you?
Well, let's start with quali. first lap round, decent enough. But then I went for my fast flyer, and as I was adjusting my MFD before Castle, on my outlap, I put my wing in a wall. So I ended up having to give Zampa a tow, which he then screwed the pooch on turn 1. But yeah, quali didn't go well for me. But yeah, lap 1 was an absolute cluster. Especially in turn 2, I ended up getting yellow wing damage on the left-hand side after being slammed on the left-hand side with all the ghosting and everything that was going on. It was really strange. I didn't know who hit me or anything. But I carried on until the VSC, got my wing fixed, and then it was a case of try and fight back from the positions I'd lost. And then when the safety car came out, Sci-Fi happily ran into the back of me while I was behind Scones after the restart. And that broke my wing again, put me back into the pits. So, yeah, I had a lovely 3-pit race, but managed to get myself in the top 10. So, all's well that ends well, I guess. But a couple of incidents that could have been avoided.
Yeah, Baku unfortunately does bring that, where there is just so much carnage we've seen throughout the race. There was just so much carnage absolutely everywhere. It was hard to keep track of all the carnage. But you still did decently, and a P8, considering the circumstances, is still a very good result.
Yeah, and those last, 5-6 laps, when I was being chased down by Lanky, originally I was trying to catch up to SNZ, but he just absolutely took off. So props to him. I had no DRS to keep Lanky behind me, so I was managing my ERS throughout the entirety of Sector 2, just so I had enough to put myself down the straight, because I knew I had higher wings than most for this race, just because I wanted the tyres to survive and I wanted the control to not hit the walls. And yeah, luckily I managed to put a gap between myself and Lanky every single lap, just to try and keep him behind, even when he had DRS. So I'm pretty pleased with that. And P8 is P8, so points on the board after my let's say vacation last week.
Well, still a decent result, and hopefully Silverstone, as I think it was SNZ mentioned before the race, there is so many British drivers in Tier 2, so we'll see a lot of drivers at their home Grand Prix, a lot of drivers vying for a home race win. Do you think a home race win is on the cards?
Honestly, to be fair, I enjoy Silverstone. It's a fun track to race, but I just don't have the overall pace there. I know that as a fact. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I might be in the higher level of points, but I don't think I'll be getting a win, especially if Stephen Beecham, Ty Clear, or Lime are involved. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where I know if I push myself, I can get a decent amount of points out of the race. A win would be nice, but it would take a catastrophe for the drivers I mentioned for me to pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, well, I'm at the point where I just kind of want to see every single race someone new win, because it just love the drama. But anyway, congrats on the P8 D Summers, and we've also got to. I know we've congratulated him before, but we've got to congratulate Dubsy one final time for that sensational drive, P20 to P3. I don't think we'll see anything like that recreated for the rest of the season. What a drive it was. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure to drop a follow. We'll be back tomorrow as the Tier 1 drivers head to Texas for round 9. And also next week, as mentioned, the Tier 2 drivers will head to Silverstone for round 10 of the calendar. 3 races to go, and the championship still not decided. There is so many drivers who could still win it, probably around 5 drivers who could still win it. Still all to play for. Looking forward to seeing what happens. But anyway, thank you all for watching. We're going to raid Phoenix Simsport doing a couple of... we're doing a race of Le Mans Ultimate. I believe they're doing some commentary. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Make sure to give Phoenix Simsport a follow. And we'll see you next week. But I've been WHFRO, and goodbye.